From The National, this is Trending Middle East. I'm Yasmin Al-Taji. It's Tuesday, June 3rd. Here are today's headlines. Hamas says it's ready to begin indirect talks on, quote, points of contention, unquote, in a U.S. ceasefire and hostage deal proposal. It comes as mediators promise to increase efforts to reach a truce. Hamas on Sunday said it was seeking to reach a deal that would ensure relief for the people of Gaza and, quote, an end to the humanitarian catastrophe, ultimately leading to a permanent ceasefire and the complete withdrawal of the occupation forces, unquote.
Hamas said that it's looking for a deal that will ensure relief and humanitarian aid going into Gaza, which we know is an extremely huge problem at the moment.
Here's The National's Aveen Karim with more.
Israel has also reportedly accepted the deal, but there hasn't been any vote in its cabinet on whether they do indeed actually fully endorse Witkoff's proposal. And we know that there are a few politicians, particularly among the right-wing ones, who don't want a deal.
On Saturday, Hamas submitted its response to the Gaza truce plan presented by Washington's Middle East envoy, Steve Witkoff. It neither accepted nor rejected the deal, but Mr. Witkoff called the response, quote, totally unacceptable, unquote. The latest proposal to pause the war comes after repeated attempts by mediators failed to achieve a breakthrough. Israel broke a 2-month ceasefire in mid-March.
According to sources that our correspondents have been speaking to, Hamas sees the Witkoff proposal as lacking what it says are genuine guarantees to ensure the withdrawal of the Israeli army from Gaza. One of the key points that Hamas has been demanding is that a deal needs to lead to a permanent ceasefire and to the withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza, which Israel says it won't do unless Hamas stops being in power in the enclave.
Meanwhile, 3 more Palestinians were killed by Israeli army gunfire yesterday near an aid distribution center in southern Gaza. That's according to medical sources who spoke to The National. That came a day after dozens were shot dead in the same area.
The delivery of aid is absolutely chaotic, with a lot of incidents taking place. Like we saw 31 people being killed when they were shot at as they were collecting aid. So Hamas has said that one of the main points that a deal should contain is ensuring that humanitarian aid is delivered across Gaza.
Iran and Egypt are in talks in Cairo, with much already on the agenda: bilateral relations, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, and Iran's nuclear program. The National's Kamal Tabikha reports from Cairo.
First of all, it included some of the most hopeful language that we have seen exchanged between both sides in a while. The Iranian foreign minister said that the channel for relations between Egypt and Iran are at their most open, that both sides are ready to approach each other, that there is a tremendous political will to accomplish this, and that they see eye to eye on a lot of the regional conflicts that are going on, particularly with Gaza and the importance of implementing a ceasefire and allowing humanitarian aid back in, and also with regards to the Houthi rebels' attacks on Red Sea shipping, which has affected Egypt quite detrimentally and has been one of the biggest headaches for the Egyptian government since the start of the war in Gaza.
Iran and the U.S. have been in talks on a potential nuclear agreement since April. On Monday, Iran's foreign ministry called for a U.S. guarantee of sanctions relief as a condition for a nuclear deal. Tehran is insisting that the process of uranium enrichment should be kept within the country. Iran recently received a U.S. proposal on its nuclear program. That was after findings by the UN's nuclear watchdog, the International Atomic Energy Agency, or IAEA, that Iran now possesses more than 400 kilograms of uranium enriched to 60% purity. That's below the 90% threshold required for weapons-grade material.
Now, interestingly, Iran right now is the subject of a great deal of focus around the world because of the ongoing U.S. Talks over the Iranian nuclear program. And interestingly, Egypt wasn't necessarily a part of those conversations, but then the Director General of the IAEA met with President al-Sisi and with the Iranian Foreign Minister to discuss the ongoing U.S.-Iran nuclear talks and to discuss implementations of some nuclear tech in Egypt with hopes to achieve food security and water security.
Emirates airline will resume flights to Syrian capital Damascus from next month. The first flight from the Dubai carrier is planned for takeoff on Wednesday, July 16th. Going forward, the number of flights will increase to 3 services per week, then 4, and by October, Emirates will fly to Damascus daily. It's a huge step for air travel to Syria since the fall of former President Bashar al-Assad. Emirates had closed off its Damascus route in 2012 as civil war broke out in Syria. But since the fall of Assad's regime late last year, followed by the lifting of sanctions on Syria by U.S. President Donald Trump during his visit to the Gulf last month, several airlines have begun to reopen their routes to Syria. That's all for this morning's headlines. You can get these stories and follow live updates at our site. Yasmin Al-Taji, The National.